Well, the thing is that what you don't realize, I'm actually a very non-confrontational guy, and I always write on the assumption that I'm going to explain it so clearly that everybody will say, oh yeah, I understand that. And in this, I'll try again this morning, because what I'm saying is so eminently sensible, I don't see how any of you can disagree. My beef is not with post-secondary education, and it's not with colleges. My beef is with this piece of paper called a BA. And I have the proposition I want to lay before the House this morning is that the BA is the work of the devil. It punishes the majority of students. Its current status in our society punishes the majority of students in the country. It is grotesquely inefficient as a source of information for employers trying to decide who to hire, and it is also implicated in the emergence of a class-riven America. Pretty weighty indictment, but let me briefly make my points, and well, I hope we'll have lots of time for discussion. Let me frame it in terms of a paragraph that I actually have in the book, but assuming you haven't all memorized the book, let me read it again. I'm imagining that we have been placed on a task force that is going to design post-secondary education from scratch, okay? And one of our colleagues comes in with the following proposal. First, we will set up a single goal to represent educational success, which will take 4 years to achieve no matter what is being taught. We will attach an economic reward to it that often has nothing to do with what has been learned. We will urge large numbers of people who do not possess adequate ability to try to achieve the goal, wait until they have spent a lot of time and money, and then deny it to them. We will stigmatize everyone who doesn't meet the goal, and we will call the goal a BA. If somebody told you that's the kind of post-secondary educational system we should have, you would first conclude that the colleague was insane and also very, very cruel. Let me go through quickly the major points in that. 4 years. Why 4 years? There is no occupation in the world that requires 32 courses of coursework, and that's how many you get in a typical 4-year college. You know, a lot of occupations require more than 4 years total time, but most of that is apprenticeship. Whether it's apprenticeship in getting a BA or whether it's apprenticeship in learning how to be a good business manager. The amount of time that you need in class to learn to learn any occupation is a couple of years, maybe 3 at the outside. That's medical school, okay? So why are we requiring people to spend 4 years to get this piece of paper called a BA? An economic reward that often has nothing to do with what has been learned. There is an economic reward for a BA. I'm not disputing that at all. I'm saying there shouldn't be. I'm saying that in the case of a few things like engineering, yeah, if you have a bachelor's degree in engineering, I'm going to call them all BAs, even though some are BSs. If you have a BA in engineering, that may tell an employer something useful about how much engineering you know. You're hiring, let's say, for a corporation, though, and you're basically hiring young incoming business people, and you're presented with a BA in sociology. What the hell does that mean in terms of anything that you need for an employee? The answer is nothing. The BA is, for most jobs, a rough, very inefficient screen for perseverance and a certain amount of intellectual ability. Well, employers need good information about their incoming applicants. That is a very silly way to give it to them. The third part of it is we will urge large numbers of people who do not possess adequate ability to try to achieve the goal, then wait until they've spent a lot of time and money, then deny it. That gets to the issue of ability, which is really sensitive. Here are the numbers. There are no value judgments in this, just numbers. The College Board, a couple of years ago, did an analysis in which they wanted to see how many students are college ready. And they defined college readiness operationally as a 65% probability of a 2.7 or better grade average in the freshman year. Okay, so first, it's a very easy to measure outcome, and it's also not very demanding, not in an age of great inflation and dumbed down courses. It's not demanding at all. And they looked at freshmen at 41 major colleges and universities. The answer they came up with was a combined SAT and verbal score of 1180. That's the benchmark, that and above, at which you have a 65% probability of a 2.7 or better grade average. What percentage of American 18-year-olds could get an 1180 or higher if everybody took the SAT? And in making this statement, I'm walking right into my partner here, who was formerly high on the ETS, and I'm prepared to psychometrically defend this statement to the wall. And 1180, if all 18-year-olds took the SAT, would be achieved by about 10%. About 10%. Historically, prime college material has been defined as an IQ of 115 or higher. That cuts off the top 16%. Now, I am not saying that you have to be in the top 10% to go to college. That's not what I'm saying at all. I am saying in an era in which 50% of all high school graduates head off to a four-year residential students, something is out of whack here. Now, turning quickly to my ideal system. What's better than the one we have now? Suppose you still had all the college campuses, you had all the facilities, you no longer had the BA. You no longer had that degree that tied you to that residential facility for 4 years. My proposition is that you could easily install a much better system of certification. So if you are a business administration major, you present to your employer a recognized test that the employer believes in, testing what you know in business administration. Journalism. Don't tell me you need to be in college 4 years to learn to be a journalist. No journalist I know thinks that. You take a relatively small number of journalism courses that teach you all the technical stuff that is going to be of interest to an employer. You can get that out of the way in, you tell me, year and a half? Half a year? I don't know. But whenever it is, and maybe you haven't gone to college at all, maybe you've learned it at online courses, but if you have a really good journalism certification test that you take to a newspaper when you're applying for the job and adds to that employer's information about whether he wants to hire you. The goal is to have something that a young person can take in to the employer that tells the employer what he knows, not where he learned it and not how long it took him to learn it. And the major reason, I'm going to cut my remarks off very quickly. I'll leave this up for further discussion later. The main reason I want to do it is this. 4-year residential college is just fine for those of us in an economic and intellectual position to take advantage of it. Great way to spend 4 years. We have a fine time. Our parents can afford it, so forth and so on. Most kids aren't like that. And we have a system right now that punishes them. It's a silly system. There's got to be a better way.